Welcome. We're going to take a look here at how writers can use apostrophes to show possession. Possession is where you're showing ownership in your writing, and you can use this for both nouns, singular and plural, and you can also use this for some indefinite pronouns. We'll show you how that works. So let's take a look at the rule. When a noun owns something, the apostrophe helps to show that possession. And possession means ownership. It means that the noun is the owner of whatever the thing is in that particular sentence. Now, it doesn't just happen with nouns. It can also be with some indefinite pronouns. An indefinite pronoun can also own something, and the apostrophe can help to show that possession. And if you're unfamiliar with indefinite pronouns, there are pronouns that don't reference something specific. So they're words like somebody or anything. That's what an indefinite pronoun is, and those are a couple of examples. Let's take a look at examples. So when you're looking at a singular noun, the apostrophe goes before the S. So the apostrophe goes before the S when the noun is singular. Singular means it just has one. So here's our example. The girl's skirt was blue and yellow. You've got one girl and you've got one skirt. Okay, so it's apostrophe S. When it's singular, the apostrophe goes before the S. Next rule, the apostrophe goes after the S when the noun is plural. So let's take a look at an example here. The girls' skirts were blue and yellow. So we've got multiple girls and we've got multiple skirts. So we put the S and then the apostrophe. So when it's plural, the apostrophe goes after the S. Next rule, the apostrophe goes before the S when the word is already pluralized. So our example here is the people's skirts were blue and yellow. So here that word people, that's already plural. It's the singular is person, the plural is people. People's skirts. So you've got multiple people and you've got multiple skirts. So therefore we use the apostrophe S because people is already plural. Let's take a look at some more examples. Tanya was embarrassed after she wore her brother's pants to school by accident. Now, we're talking about one brother and one pair of pants, so it's apostrophe S. The apostrophe goes before the S. Next example. The parents' meetings took the whole afternoon. Now here we know we've got multiple parents and we have multiple meetings because it is S apostrophe. We've got a plural here, so it's S apostrophe. Next example. We borrowed my grandpa's tent, my aunt's sleeping bag, and my sister's cooler for our camping trip. So the grandpa is singular, it's apostrophe S. The aunt is singular, it's apostrophe S. And the sister is singular, apostrophe S, to show possession of the tent, the sleeping bag, and the cooler. Let's look at some more examples. We can have a senator's office, one senator, one office. We can have the dean's offices, multiple deans, multiple offices. We can have James's trousers, one person named James, one pair of trousers, apostrophe S. We can have William Butler Yeats's poems. Now Yeats's last name ends with the S. That is the way that it's spelled, Y-E-A-T-S. So we add the apostrophe S at the end of that to show possession, to show that the poems are owned by William Butler Yeats. The baby's toys, we have multiple babies. That word is already plural, so the apostrophe goes at the end there. Toys. And we have women's hats. Women is already pluralized. And so we have apostrophe S, and we have hats, which are plural, multiple hats. Another thing that apostrophes can do is that they can show joint ownership. So this can really help us as writers be very specific about what it is that we're trying to describe in our writing so that our reader really understands us. So when you have two or more people own something, they are both listed in the sentence, but only the last name has the apostrophe S. And I don't mean their family name. I don't mean that kind of last name. I mean the last name that's listed in the sentence. Let's take a look at some examples. James and Madeline's dog is named Chelsea. So because Madeline is the second name that happens in the sentence, that's where the apostrophe S goes, to show the ownership of the dog to James and Madeline. Next example, Jamie, Dave, and Chad's house is up the street on the left. So Jamie, Dave, and Chad all own this house. The apostrophe S goes to after the last person's name, apostrophe S, after Chad, to show ownership of the house. And here's the other side of that. Apostrophes show individual ownership as well. So when you have two or more people, each own something of their own. So each of them owns something. They're both listed in the sentence, and each name has the apostrophe S. Let's take a look at some examples. Both Tamika's and Kimmy's apartments are decorated in the modern style. We're talking about two different apartments here. We're talking about Tamika's apartment and Kimmy's apartment. They're two different apartments. Our next example here, Mike's and Dan's suits were both handmade in Italy. We're talking about two different suits. Mike has a suit and Dan has a suit. So it's apostrophe S following each name. So I know that apostrophes can be a bit confusing, but I hope that this information is helpful to you, and good luck with your writing.